Welcome back, everybody. How you doing tonight? So I picked this up recently. It came in today. It's an Odyssey Tournament pack, 75 cards. I believe 3 rares in here and a stack of uncommons. These are still fairly available and not terribly expensive. I think I paid like 35 for it or something, 34, 35. If I recall correctly. I could be completely wrong about that, but I think that's what I paid for it. But anyway, Odyssey is was one of my favorite blocks that I was playing a lot during this block. It was a goofy block though, because Odyssey was a really great set, and then the follow-up sets, they tried to do something different with Torment and Judgment. They actually tried to do like monocolor entire sets. So Torment was pretty much all based around black, and Judgment was pretty much all based around white, making it one of the biggest fails in Magic history as far as the set goes. Because, white's probably the most underpowered color. But white is a great balancing color. I love white because it balances out all the other colors really well. You use white with any other color, except green. But, you use white with blue or white with red or white with black, and you can come up with some really strong decks because white has all the stuff that the other colors don't have as far as protection and stuff like that. A lot of good removal and stuff in white that removes permanents, not just creatures. So white's really good, but yeah, Judgment was kind of a poor set because back then white was even more underpowered than it is now. And a whole set based around basically white was, it was all right. It was a good set. I liked it, but it hasn't stood the test of time very well. Anyway, let's break in here and see what we get. There's a lot of really, good cards in Odyssey. It was a fun block, like I said, to play. I don't think the pull tab's so old. I don't think it's going to work, so we'll just actually open it, seeing how it's so old and worn out that they turn right off the top here. There we go. Got our little, looks like we picked up smoking. Ugh, nasty habit, don't ever do that. All right, hey, look, no inner wrap. I couldn't remember if there was or not back then. Okay, we got a foil right on the top. Foils are not guaranteed in this set. I believe they're 1 in 100 cards. Yep, if you can see right there. Foils are 1 in 100 cards, and there's only 75 in here. I have seen some of these tournament packs without a foil, but you pretty much always on the tournament packs get a foil basic land if there's not going to be a regular foil in there. Now, I think the 3 cards right before I think these 3 are the rares. Let me see. Yep, okay, commons. Okay, so I think the rares are in here. I think they're these top 3. I believe that's our rares, I hope. We'll find out in a second here. So there's our foil. We got our foil mountain there. I wonder if that's one of the... So for some reason, the price list I looked up has a mountain, number 346, and a plains, number 333, which I don't know how you tell that because these aren't numbered unless you've got one of the old books. Oh, wait, it is. They are numbered. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, you can't see because of the foiling. Down here. 344. Okay. 350. All right, so they are numbered. I stand corrected. But anyways, I think we just got commons here. Yep, just commons here. All right, so we'll break through some of the commons. We'll kind of do this a little bit slower because there's not that many cards, and this was a really cool set. So a lot of cool stuff to talk about in here. Diligent Farmhand was used a lot when it first came out. And the wording on this will kind of explain why. So it's a 1-drop 1/1. But for 1 green and 1 colorless, you sacrifice them and search your library for a basic land card and put that card into play tapped. Then shuffle your library, right? So he's about to die. You sack him and you get a basic land card into play tapped. Or you can just use it as mana ramp right away. But if Diligent Farmhand is in a graveyard, Muscle Burst's effect counts it as a Muscle Burst. So we'll see if we get a Muscle Burst in here. If not, I'll try and look it up real quick to tell you what it does. But so we'll put this aside just because we want to see if we get a Muscle Burst, and I can show you what that's talking about. Next up, we got Avon Flock. Was terrible. Nobody used this card because it was a 5-drop. 1 white and 4 colorless for a 2/3 flyer that you could only pump up his toughness. So kind of weak. A Freight Crawler. Freight Crawler was used a little bit because of Threshold. Freight Crawler can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. I don't know why they originally called that Fear, and then they started putting the description of Fear on them instead. You know, they've done a lot of these things where they've taken and created these keywords like Vigilance, so they wouldn't have to put so much text on the cards. But for some reason, they took away Fear, which was in the original sets, and they put all the printing back on, which is goofy. Anyway, Threshold is Fright Crawler gets +2/+2 and can't block. You have Threshold as long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. Odyssey was a very graveyard-based set, so there's a lot of graveyard manipulation in this set. So that's where Threshold, this is, I believe where it debuted was Odyssey. So there's that. Thermal Blast. Thermal Blast is a 5-drop. Oh, terrible. It deals 3 damage to target creature. If you have Threshold, it deals 5 damage to that creature instead. Nobody ever stacked this that I'm aware of. I never stacked it. Cephalid Looter. 3-drop, 2/1. Tap it. Target player draws a card, then discards a card from his or her hand. Back then, this was kind of a newer mechanic. There wasn't a lot of cards doing this, and blue was still, even back then, all about card draw. So this did see some play, quite a bit of play back then. Nantuku Disciple. I remember this guy. He was kind of cool. He's a 4-drop 2/2, but for 1 green, you could tap him to give target creature +2/+2 until end of turn. So it's kind of like a pump spell you could use every turn, but a little expensive and easy to kill. Shelter, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice till end of turn. Draw a card for 1 white, 1 colorless. Not a great card really that was used much, but the artwork was incredible. This chick was just well drawn. I still am not sure if she's actually wearing any drawers. She's got like the little garter belt on, but that's about it. It looks like she's just wearing a shirt. Anyway, well, camera's even tripping out about it. So next up, Ghastly Demise. Destroy target non-black creature if its toughness is less than or equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. This was used a lot. Yeah, this card is awesome because it's just a 1-drop in black creature removal. And you know, this set you filled up your graveyard fairly quick for the time. Back then, graveyards, before this set came around, graveyards didn't fill up terribly fast. This was one of the earliest sets that really wanted you wanted to get cards in your graveyard on purpose. So it's pretty cool. Pilgrim of Virtue. They had a lot of these that were individual white cards that had protection for different colors on them. And then you could sack them to give yourself protection from that color, till, from all damage from that color until the end of turn. So that was pretty cool, but they didn't really see a lot of play. Not much play with that. Anarchist. I love the name, and the artwork was really cool, but he's a 5-drop 2/3. And all he does is when he comes into play, you may return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So it wasn't really, the juice was not worth the squeeze, especially in red. 5-drop is just way too late game to bother with a sorcery you've already played. Escape Artist, this guy was used a lot. I think he's still used a lot. He's unblockable. And then you could discard a card from your hand to return him to your hand at any time for 1 blue. And he's only a 2-drop 1/1. So this guy's really, really fun. I think he's been reprinted a bunch of times. Great card. Muscle Burst, there we go. Okay. So Muscle Burst, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is 3 plus the number of Muscle Burst cards in all graveyards. All graveyards, your opponents as well. So if your opponent was playing Muscle Burst and Diligent Farmhands, you could get a late game Muscle Burst, which they're only 2. So I mean, you could drop, you know, several of these in the first few turns and several of these in the first few turns. So I mean, by like, you know, turn 5 or 6, you could actually be pumping up creatures for plus. What, 7 plus, yeah, so +10/+10. So Muscle Burst was pretty out of control if you're using these 2, and this is such a great card because it gave you the mana ramp while fueling the Muscle Burst. So I mean, you drop him on turn 1, turn 2 you sack him, turn 3 you send over a creature with haste and throw the Muscle Burst on him for +4, you know. So yeah, pretty beastly. So really cool combos like that. I really liked that. I liked how they had the card synergy like that. This one was probably the best one. I think that every color had something like this, but this was the best one because the farmhand was mana ramp. Zombie Cannibal deals combat damage to a player. You may remove target card in that player's graveyard from the game, and it's only a 1-drop 1/1. So great little card there. Today, this would be a very handy card because you know, there's so much stuff that people are using out of the graveyard. Being able to remove that from the game is awesome, and it's not exiled, it's removed from the game. So they're starting to have cards where you can get stuff out of exile too. There's the Pilgrim of Justice. That's the one with the protection from red. Yeah, here's one I wanted to show you. So, Scorching Missile. So, Scorching Missile is 4, 1 red, 3 colorless, deal 4 damage to target player, but it has flashback. So, flashback was extremely expensive on this card. Oh, my finger's causing it to go out of focus. So, it's 1 red and 9 colorless, but you can play this card from your graveyard for its flashback card cost and then remove it from the game. So this was the original, this was the first time you were able to cast cards from the graveyard, really, in this kind of mass. And that's what this little tombstone was. I was watching a pretty big YouTuber the other day go through some cards from this set, and he's like, what is this? What is this little symbol? I don't even know what that is. They put the little tombstone symbol in front of the name on all the cards that had flashback to let you know that it had a graveyard ability. So when you're looking at your hand, you just got the cards like this, you can see the tombstones to know that that one's got flashback, so you can recast it after you cast it. So pretty awesome ability. I liked that back then. Obviously, we've got a lot of, you know, you got Escape now, which is pretty similar, but on creatures, you know. So, but flashback, that's the original thing. That's how they denoted it, was with that little, tombstone. So here's Aether Burst. This is the blue version of that. All of them in the graveyard. Return up to X target creatures to their owner's hands, where X is 1 plus... Why is my camera going out of focus? 1 plus the number of Aether Burst cards in all graveyards as you play Aether Burst. Why won't it focus? There we go. Sorry about that. So, this is the blue version. It's basically... What's causing the focus? That must be my hand. So, hey, stop that. All right. It's basically an unsummon that you multiply for each one of these that's in the graveyard. Why is it freaking out? All right. I don't know why my camera's doing that. I apologize. All right. So moving on. Here we got our basic lands. So for some reason it says that mountain number 346 and plains number 333 are actually worth like $2 a piece almost. And there's the 333 plains. So for some reason this plains, so let me see if we can find the island. Which one was it? 346. 343. 346. Okay. So for some reason, these couple here, let me get through to the cards again. Oh, there's our rares. Oh, I screwed up. Those aren't rares. Those are not rares. Everything was backwards. All right. I haven't opened one of these in a long time. So now we got uncommons. All right. We'll have to slow roll it the other way. All right. So for some reason, these two lands are showing up on my price list as being like $1.80 something for these two lands. And I have no idea why. The foils are worth like, how to say, the foil plains of this one's worth like $20. And the foil mountain of this one's worth like $8. I have no idea why. I mean, they're cool artwork. That's really cool looking planes with the lightning and the trees and stuff. And the little person standing there. We can get in there closer. Focus. You can do it. Nope. Won't focus. And this mountain. Cool looking artwork, but for some reason these two are on the price list as being worth something. And I don't know why. Alright, so let's kind of slow roll this. Why won't you focus? I usually don't have this trouble. I don't know. Alright. Syncopate. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell was countered this way, but remove it from the game instead of putting it in its owner's graveyard. Kind of like a power sync, but it removes it from the game instead of putting it in the graveyard. Pretty cool. I like that card. I thought it was a good card. Not bad for a common. Cheaper than a lot of counter spells these days. Halberdier, or Birdier? I don't know. 4-drop for a 3/1 first strike. It's just too easy to kill. Too expensive, too easy to kill. Alright, we got... What is that? Kurtar's Desire. It was really hard to read the white cards with these old borders. Enchanted creature can't attack. Threshold, enchanted creature can't block either for a 1-drop for a white. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool card. Stop them from attacking, then little ways down the road when you got Threshold, stop them from blocking. Alright, Ravaged Highlands. So there was a common land cycle. They did come into play tapped. This may have been one of the earliest sets that they started doing that in because, you know, that was annoying. And we all hated it. Add 1 red to your mana pool. Sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Weak. Terrible. Crows and Archer may block as though it had flying. This before they came up with the keyword reach. It's a 4-drop 2/3. For 1 green, discard a card from your hand, and it gets +2 toughness until end of turn. Nobody really stacked that much. Careful Study. Now this is one that we stacked a lot. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards from your hand for 1 blue. Great cycling card, great card draw, great for setting up your hand. So I really like this card. It was a great card. We did stack it pretty often in blue back then. So Ember Beast. Ember Beast is a 3-drop 3/4, but it can't attack or block alone. You gotta attack or block with something else. He's a very shy Ember Beast. He's a big old beastie, but he's shy. Gotta have friends. Bog Wreckage. Here's the black version of the land. Again, comes into play tapped. Adds 1 color or 1 of that color, or you can sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color. But they aren't fetchable, and they come into play tapped, so nobody ever used them even back then. Immobilizing Ink. This was one of the first kind of, well, not one of the first, but it was one of the earlier pretty powerful ones that was supposed to stop your opponent's creatures. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its untap step. Enchanted creature has 1 colorless, discard a card from your hand to untap this creature. So obviously we ended up using this on our own creatures to create all kinds of shenanigans. So yep, some of those big creatures that would come into play tapped and you had to pay a bunch of mana to untap them, we'd pop this on there, pay 1 card, or pay 1 mana, discard a card, and untap the big old Colossus and attack with it. So it was an early combo card. Trumbull. Each player sacrifices a land for 2. Yeah, not terrible. It saw some play back then, especially if you had a land you purposely wanted to sacrifice for whatever reason or whatever. I don't know. It saw a little bit of play, but not a lot. You kind of had to build a deck around it. Okay, here's Life Burst. Here's the white version of that building up the graveyard card. 1 white, 1 colorless. Target player gains 4 life, then gains 4 life for each Life Burst card in each graveyard. So again, you could have 3 in your graveyard, your opponent could have 4 in his. That's a lot of life. So, of course, if you had 4 in his, you already gained a lot of life anyway. But anyways, moving on. Cabal Inquisitor. So this was a 2-drop 1/1 Threshold. But if you had Threshold, you could use his ability, which was 1 black, 1 colorless, and tap him. Remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. Target player discards a card from his or her hand. I'll play this only anytime you can play a sorcery. So you could filter out your graveyard and make your opponent discard cards. And we got Satan's Desire. Or Satan's Desire? I don't know. Satan's Desire? No, it's probably not Satan. It's probably Satan or Satan. I don't know. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. Threshold was all creatures able to block enchanted creature do so. So it was a lure if you had Threshold. And Aboshan's Desire. There's another one of the Desire ones. Blue, 1 blue. Enchanted creature has flying. Threshold, enchanted creature has Shroud, basically. It's before they had the keyword Shroud. There you go. And then Pardix Swordsmith. Discard a card random from your hand. Pardix Swordsmith gets +2 until end of turn. For 1 and discard. And he was a 3-drop 1/1. I don't remember him seeing much play. I don't remember playing against him very often. So I don't think he saw a lot. Dedicated Martyr. Sacrifice Dedicated Martyr. You gain 3 life for 1 white. And he's a 1-drop 1/1. So he was pretty cool for the white life gain decks. There wasn't a lot of that back then, though. There wasn't a lot of white life gain decks. There's a few, but not a ton of them. All right, looks like we're into our uncommons, so we'll flip these over now. Think Tank. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard for 3, and it's enchantment. So, pretty cool card for cycling through. I don't think this one's up there on the price list. There is several uncommons in this set that are worth a couple bucks. I think there's like 5 of them that are worth over a couple bucks, and there's one that's worth $8, and that's the Price of Glory. And then the Cephalated Coliseums were like $4. and a couple others that are in that $2, $3 range, but this guy is not on there, which is surprising because that's a great card for blue. Not bad at all. Steam Vines, 2 red, 1 colorless. When an enchanted land becomes tapped, destroy it, and Steam Vines deals 1 damage to that land's controller. Target player moves Steam Vines to the land of his or her choice. So it's kind of one of those things where it's you put it on your opponent's land, and then they tap it. It destroys the land and deals 1 damage to them, and then they put it on one of your lands, which destroys one of your lands. So it's one of those things that comes back to haunt you unless you're running red and white and got a bunch of disenchants in there. Fervent Denial. This is kind of kind of like a really terrible version of a Force of Will, but it didn't work. It was a 5 casting cost counterspell with flashback for 7. Nobody's stacked this at all. Nobody. It's a terrible card. Nantuku Elder. This one saw a little bit of play. He's a 3-drop 1/2 mana elf that gave you 1 green and 1 colorless. So 2 mana out of a single. Funny thing, he's not even an elf. He's an insect druid. But 2 mana out of a mana elf. Sarkatog. Good old Atogs. We're back in Odyssey. Yep, a lot of Atogs on the Odyssey block, now that I recall. He was funny. He was red, black, and 1 colorless, so Rakdos before there was Rakdos. Remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. He gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Sacrifice an artifact. He gets +1/+1 till end of turn. He can get pretty out of control, but not terribly out of control because it was very costly, obviously. The removing cards from your graveyard wasn't a big deal back then, but the second artifacts, yeah, you run out of your graveyard pretty quick, so he didn't see as much play as he probably could have. Patchwork Gnomes. Discard a card from your hand to regenerate Patchwork Gnomes. 2/1 for 3. Not great. Zombify. Return target creature from your graveyard to play for 4. That's a good one. I don't think it's on the price list. No. No, it's not a valuable one, but it was a good card. It did see a lot of play back then. Avon Archer. Flying. 5-drop 2/2. Yeah. But you can tap 1 white and 2 colorless, tap him. Avon Archer deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So he's really super expensive, but you got to realize there was really not any direct damage on white back then. So a direct damage card on white was a pretty big deal. And then Roar of the Worm. This guy saw tons of play, but nobody ever hardcast it. It was 1 green and 6 colorless to hardcast it, but a 6/6 green worm creature token into play. But the flashback, as you see, was only 1 green, 3 colorless. So pretty much everybody used this as a discard card, got it in the graveyard, and then cast it from the graveyard. You get a 4 mana 6/6. So this one saw a ton of play, but never actually got hard casted. All right, so we didn't get any of the valuable uncommons, unfortunately. So kind of swings and miss in the uncommon slot. So let's hope our 3 rares are something, because otherwise, not much value in this one. First rare is Animal Boneyard. Saw a little play. 1 white, 2 colorless. Enchanted land has tapped to sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Oh, and that's still an uncommon. What? We only got 2 rares? Weak. Super weak. Alright. Impulsive Maneuvers is one of our rares. It's a coin flip card. No reason to go over that. You don't want me to read that wall of text, do you? Nope. And our last hope is Kurtar's Wrath. Just a board wipe. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Threshold. Instead, destroy all creatures, then put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying into play. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. So if you had Threshold, you board wiped, but then you had 2 1/1 flyers. So, and it was 6. It wasn't that great. So there we go. Not the best Odyssey deck tournament pack, I guess, in the world, but you know, I unfortunately got rid of all my Odyssey cards. I had tons of these. I probably had a 5,000 count box just of Odyssey because I was playing a lot when this set came out. So you know, I sold it all. It's all gone. All gone. Oh, no focus at all tonight. I don't know why my camera can't focus. Anyway, we did get a foil mountain. It's not the valuable one though. So according to the price list, the most expensive cards we got were the island or the mountain and the plains. They're worth like $1.80 a piece. So there you have it. Not much else Yeah, I mean, not much not much of anything value in this particular one, but there is some really valuable cards in the set. There's nothing super crazy. The tainted pack's worth like $50. The foils, obviously, though, are worth a lot in this set because this is before they increased the foil pull rate. So back then it was really hard to get foils, as you saw, 1 in 100 cards. Not terribly easy to get foils. You really only got a couple in a box, or a few in a box. So there you go. Let me know what you think of this set. Were you playing when Odyssey came out? Did you enjoy the block? Have you been able to get your hands on some? And what do you think of the set looking back at it? Do you think it was if you weren't around when it came out, you're just now kind of discovering the set or just recently discovered it, what do you think of it looking at it now compared to the modern sets? I'm always curious about that. So let me know in the comments. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your time. There's probably some other video suggestions up there. We'll see you guys again soon as I start getting the Ikoria stuff in. I should start getting more of it in here. I've already opened 1 box and 1 pre-release pack, and I've got more coming, so hopefully that'll get here soon and I can do a bunch of those openings. I'm excited about it. It's really cool set. So let me know what you guys think of that and of this set, and we'll see you in the next video. I really appreciate your time. Every like and sub and comment, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.